So it's just a fact that throughout our lives, from 2 to 100, we have to interact with people who, let's face it, are a pain. We have to do it. We've got no option. The great thing is, when you get into the second half of your life, you can work out tactics to deal with these people. In this video, I'm going to tell you how I have worked out the optimal way to deal with life's idiots. Okay, look, I know idiots is a strong word, but you kind of get it. It's a shorthand. These people are well-meaning often. They're some of the nicest people you know. They're just difficult to deal with sometimes. And so I'm just going to list some of the people who I would put into this category. Some of them are kind of fine, others, no, can't cope with them unless you work out some tactics. And they're not an exhaustive list, and of course you'll have your own. So for me, people who have no sense of humour, people who don't understand that actions have consequences, people who've just got no perspective on life or an ability to see things in the round, people for whom everything is always a calamity, people who react without thinking about the consequences to other people, people who are inconsiderate, and last, but by no means least, people who disagree with me. So let me explain how this change came about. For the first sort of 40 years of my life, I think I went through life perpetually slightly irritated by things that other people did that didn't seem to be correct, sort of bad service in restaurants, or people at work who seemed to just not have the right attitude and things like that. And it always perplexed me, and it would spoil my day sometimes if things didn't go right. This was a feature of the first 40 years almost of my life. And then something changed. Around about the age of 40, I had this kind of revelation, which was no matter what I did to try and point out the error of other people's ways, as I saw it, of course, and in what way I reacted with these people and interacted with them, nothing seemed to really change. The world was still full of people who I found slightly irritating, and I realised that, in fact, what was going on here was that I was trying to alter things over which I had no control at all. So eventually, around the age of 40, I came to the conclusion that the way in which I could stop this perpetual irritation happening was to take control of the one thing I did have some kind of agency over, which was how I actually reacted to these people. So I changed my approach. And this is where things began to get a bit more interesting. Gradually over time, I modified my approach to the point where I took the line that what I had to do was to interact with these people in the best way I could and get past that point of interaction without it ruining my day, without it becoming a major source of irritation for me. And so I stopped, rising to the bait. I stopped attempting to fix things for these people and stopped trying to confront people. And the effect was huge, because instead what I started doing was saying, okay, I have to deal with these people that I don't get on with, but all I have to do is get past them to the rest of my day, get past them to the point where I had achieved what I needed to achieve from my interaction with them. This is not just at work. This can be literally in the supermarket. It can be family events even, where I realised that it's pointless trying to change things over which you have no control. All you can do is make sure that where these things are going on, they're not impacting you and the only control you've got is what you allow to impact you. And for me, that was a huge moment. And gradually, over time, it's actually improved my, it's no exaggeration to say, in many respects, it's improved my life. I don't have huge rows with people anymore. I don't feel like I need to justify myself. I don't feel like I need to point out the error of anybody else's ways. Assuming a sort of a position of confrontation helps nobody, least of all me. So I've kind of smoothed things over, and my life has got much better as a result. So I don't know if this rings any bells with anybody, but this type of confrontational approach to life is something I see it in my own children. They are driven mad by life and by other people, and I think it's part of the human condition. I don't think I'm particularly isolated in finding this whole interaction business quite hard, or at least I used to. Now I find it fine, and in fact I get along with people a lot better, and my reputation has changed from somebody who didn't suffer fools gladly, if at all, to somebody who's a bit more easygoing. So I've pulled together a few kind of top tips. I don't know if these are top tips, but here's how I deal with things. If I know that I'm going to be at, say, a family event, and I know that in the past a particular relative has been difficult for me, I'll think about it in advance and work out how I'm going to deal with it. Set my expectations that I'm going to have to deal with this individual, so I'm going to have to deal with it in a way that helps me to get past it. Underlying a lot of this, I think, is the fact that in some subconscious way I perceive these people as some kind of almost like a threat. And they're not a threat. They don't have any power over me, provided I don't give them that power by getting irritated by them. The last thing is, once you kind of acknowledge that these people are never going to be people who you seek out to spend time with, in no matter where they are, you know, at the filling station, or down the pub, or at a family event, or at work, they're never going to be people who you will want to socialise with, so you don't have to be friends with them necessarily. You just have to get past them in your day. And the final thing I really wanted to talk about was a book which kind of pulled all this together for me. And it's by a guy called Thomas Harris. It's about 40 or 50 years old now, I think. And it's called I'm Okay, You're Okay. And it involves a piece of psychology called transactional analysis, and it's about how we interact with other people. And without going too far into it, it basically explains that we're brought up with a kind of a key relationship, and it's the relationship with our parents, and we're used to reacting to them and as a child, and they're used to reacting to us as a parent. And this type of parent-child relationship frequently gets pushed out into the rest of the world. What we should be aiming at is to bring the two relationships together in what is called an adult relationship, where you don't automatically assume sort of aggressive postures, or you don't throw your toys out of the pram, which is what a great saying that is, what a giveaway that is, when you don't get your own way. That type of behaviour is explained beautifully in this book, and I thoroughly recommend it. And if you can look at anything on transactional analysis, look it up online. It is a real eye-opener as to why we interact the way we do, and how you don't have to do it the way that it feels like you ought to do it, because that's how you've been brought up to do it. Anyway, transactional analysis, look it up. I think that's about as far as I'm going to go in this video. Hopefully you found it okay. If you did, if you could like or subscribe, that would be fantastic. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.